My sister-in-law stole my book. Then I found out later she published it and is making a crap ton of money on it. So I did this. I, 24 female, write as a hobby, and I like sharing my short stories with my small following. I do want to publish one day, but I want to make it perfect since it's not edited yet. The unfinished book we're talking about came from an idea that I started to build when I was in middle school. I just finished it last year, but because of the virus, I was forced to put the project aside to ensure steady employment with my day job. My brother and sister-in-law came to visit me to introduce their baby daughter about 6 months ago. Sister-in-law just thrusted her baby into my arms, even though I lack even the barest knowledge on how to hold a baby. The baby was fussy and my brother helped calm her down, while sister-in-law said she wanted to use the bathroom to pump breast milk. They left later and I did not think anything of it until recently that I was told sister-in-law had published the book, and it's been a while since she published. Self-publish is not as time-consuming as traditional publishing. I don't doubt my sister-in-law's intelligence because she's a smart woman, but I've always heard how she dislikes books because they're boring and drag on. I wanted to show my support and bought a copy, only to realize it's way too similar to mine. I compared it to my copy of an unpublished work. It's obvious it's been edited and proofread for fluidity and clarity. I was angry and I admit I overreacted by confronting her on the phone. She said my screaming was upsetting her and hung up. It was back and forth battle between phone numbers just to get the truth. But this time, my parents and her parents are now involved. Okay guys, here's the update. After speaking with my pre-law friend, I decided to go the legal route. I reiterated my compromise with sister-in-law and my brother-in-law, but he's fully taken her side. My parents warned me that I'd be disowned and I'd be dead to them if I'm willing to stoop this low. I hired a lawyer and gave them all the details on my side. My lawyer said she needs my unedited manuscript for the book, and my sister-in-law's published book along with a copy sister-in-law sent to have it proofread and edited. Because the published book had different parts changed, my lawyer needs the unedited version, which sister-in-law should still have in the transaction she did with her editor and proofreader. We took the risk to ask sister-in-law for the unedited copy she sent to her editor and proofreader, despite the chances of having her feign, quote, "I don't remember their names. I don't have their contacts anymore. I don't want to." I told sister-in-law that we will go through the route of having to use third-party notarization to ensure no foul play on either part. Have one individual look at my unedited manuscript and one she sent to her hired editor and proofreader. Once I told her that, she must have realized I wasn't bluffing. Sister-in-law and my brother accepted the compromise. I take the pseudonym and the royalties with evidence of sold copies. I stipulated that sister-in-law must put a message out to her followers on her blog that she stole from me and not a single word of the book is hers. She's clearly pissed off and disgusted with me for doing this to my own family. I threatened her with further legal proceedings if she does not do it. No lawsuit happened, but I'm glad I got a professional option just in case. As word got back to my parents of what I did, and how dare I get a lawyer to punish sister-in-law because her big blog followers will surely lose her trust and her future revenue. I told them and my parents that if they have anything to say, use my business email. I'm done with them. They treat an outsider, sister-in-law, 1 month into dating my brother, better than they ever did me. I don't need the negativity dragging me down. I'm happier, more free with my opinions, and I don't have to feel the need to compete with everything sister-in-law does, just to get my parents to love me a little more than a daughter in name. I have my friends. They've always been more of a family unit to me than my biological ones. I knew I was going to lose something coming out of this, but I did not expect I'd be okay with disappointment and hurt. Thank you, everyone, and no, I will not be telling anyone what the name of the book is, because I only came here to get moral judgment and update what happened. I'm so glad OP decided to go the legal route. I actually want to read a comment from the original thread. It states, "Glad you went the legal route. I remember this, and I remember thinking your sister-in-law would not do right by you without legal pressure. And surprise, surprise, she realized you weren't joking. Make sure to follow through with everything in writing. Example, make sure you have your lawyer draft an official letter with all the terms agreed upon. That way, she cannot back out." Our next story that we're going to look at, guys, you absolutely have to let my underage teenager into your room party full of grown gay men. Yeah, this is a wild one. Smash that subscribe button, smash that like button, here comes the next story. So, long story short, my friend is a furry, and at the time was attending Midwest Fur Fest. Now, there's a ton of fun activities that attendees can partake in, and most of the panels and activities listed on the official program are totally appropriate for families and kids. That being said, like any other type of geeky conventions, people will hold room parties in their hotel rooms or suites that are not part of the official program and are not the responsibility of the convention itself. Very often, those room parties will either be gatherings of friends, or sometimes they'll just be centered around certain social groups. For example, there are furries of color parties now, and trans room parties. And sometimes, well, there'll be parties of the more sexy kind. You know what I mean. Sometimes, to attract a certain crowd, especially at those social group parties, they will advertise the room party on a board near the hotel lobby, just to advertise the party's room number for those who might be interested. Anyways, those parties are obviously private functions, and obviously the person who is paying for the suite/room has complete liberty of choosing who's allowed inside and who's not, especially if they're just a gathering between friends. Flash forward to a Saturday evening. This is generally the biggest evening of the convention in terms of official events and room parties. My friend is hosting a room party for gay men in his suite. The attendees are all legal adults. The majority of them are in their late 20s, early 30s. Nothing too risque is going on, but it's a bunch of gay men together in a room. So colorful discussions and a bit of flirting and groping is happening from time to time. I mean, duh. At some point early in the evening, they hear a knock at the door. Friend goes to the door and slightly opens it to see a kid, no older than 15 or 16, standing outside. Hi, can I help you? Can I come in? No, this is a private party. It's not a party of the convention. Sorry. My friend then closes the door and returns to entertaining his guest. About 15 minutes later, this time my friend's roommate goes to answer the door and finds the same kid standing there, and this time he has his father with him. Yes. Yes, my son came here early and was refused to be let in. Well, yes, but is there a specific reason why my son can't attend this event? At this point, my friend intervenes. Sir, this is a room party. It's not a part of the official event. Plus, your son is a minor, and everyone here is a grown man in their 30s. This would be extremely inappropriate. Don't give me that. We paid full price for the attendee's pass. I expect my son to be able to enjoy this convention to its fullest. But that's what I'm telling you. This isn't covered by the convention ticket. This has nothing to do with... But that's the party was advertised downstairs in the lobby. The board downstairs will advertise a lot of private room parties, sir. It's a conventional thing. People will organize gatherings amongst friends and social groups because they're all gathered in the same spot for the weekend. That doesn't mean it has anything to do with the convention's properness. Now, please, can you leave? We've told you more than once that your son's not welcome here. My friend at this point hushes the entitled dad and his kid out and closes the door. At this point, everybody thinks the story's over, but the entitled parents being petty is not. At around 11:30 p.m., a much more stronger knock heard at the door. My friend goes to open the door and is met with hotel security and a Rosemont Police Department officer. What's going on? Sir, we've got a report of illegal activity taking place in this room. We'd just like to get a little checkup. My friend is flabbergasted but let the cop and security person in. Of course they find absolutely nothing weird going on. Can I at least know what this was about? This is very distressing. A man came down to us earlier and said that your party guests were doing drugs and committing acts of gross indecency by being sexually inappropriate where other people could see them. My friend then realizes it was more than likely entitled dad and tells hotel security about what entitled dad tried to force the party attendees to let his minor son attend a room party full of grown adult males, and how they had to tell them to leave. Hotel security apologizes, and my friend got a partial refund on his room to make up for the intrusion, and no more problems happened from then on. He doesn't know if anything happened to the man and his kid, though. I cannot believe the father of this story, the entitled dad, could not take a hint. How many more clues did these people have to say before the dad realizes that room was not a place for an underage kid? I mean, who even lets their kid hang out with strangers anyways? They told him over and over it was not part of the con. But I guess entitled dad thought that they were just lying to him or something. Let me know your thoughts of this, or if you've ever came across an entitled dad with this many red flags for parenting. Our next story on the day is our final story. My 32-year-old sister-in-law, 29 female, witnessed an incident with my husband over a year ago, and now she asked me if I need help to escape every single time I see her. How do I get her to stop? Let's find out. Some backstory. My husband and I went through an extremely rough patch, and we ended up separating and living apart. However, during that time, I had a lot of mixed emotions. I was unhappy over the state of our relationship, but the idea of him finding a mistress was devastating, so I continued sleeping with him. At some point, I found some self-esteem and went no contact with him. I found out I was pregnant, but I never told him. I had convinced myself he would force me to abort or find a way to hurt the baby. I absolutely did not want that. Okay, now here's the incident. My husband found out about the pregnancy when I was 16 weeks. I was forced to go back to our marital home where he was waiting for me. My brother-in-law and his new wife, Amelia, were also there at the time. My husband is extremely private, especially about our relationship, so while his family knew something happened between us, they did not know the extent of it. So, my husband told me to go wait upstairs for him. Amelia noticed I was extremely reluctant and very frightened, so she tried to help me by saying she was hoping we could spend some more time together, so we could get to know each other better while the boys talked. Amelia and my husband got into an argument when he repeated that he told me to go upstairs, and she told him to leave me alone. I ended up going upstairs because I felt like the arguing was going to make things worse, but as I was going, I could continue to hear them arguing. And my brother-in-law had to tell Amelia not to get involved in our marriage, and she kept saying that I was frightened of him and telling my brother-in-law to do something. My husband and I spoke for 2+ hours. He went downstairs after and I took a nap. I did not realize my brother-in-law and Amelia were still there until I went downstairs later for dinner. As soon as Amelia got me alone, She asked me about what happened and wanted to make sure I was okay. The thing is, I didn't know her very well, and while I appreciated her sticking up for me, it felt a little embarrassing to tell her he wanted me to take my clothes off so he could see the evidence of my pregnancy. So instead, I told her everything was fine, and we had just a disagreement, but we worked it out. I don't think I was very convincing because ever since she asked me if I need help getting away from my husband every single time I see her, without fail. I've told her I'm fine and we've worked on things, but she doesn't seem to believe me. I appreciate that she stuck up for me originally and that she continues to look out for me, but it's not necessary. It also doesn't help that my husband knows she asked me this every single time, and after the last time, he told me she was starting to piss him off. I don't think Amelia realizes how close my husband and his brother are, or how much influence my husband's opinion has on his brother. I'm worried that if my husband gets annoyed enough, he'll eventually say something to his brother, which could cause problems for Amelia and her relationship. So, how do I get her to stop or realize that I'm fine? I really like her, so I would prefer to do it in a way that doesn't hurt or embarrass her. This one was a hard read for me because OP was trying to frame it like she's okay, she doesn't feel scared, everything's fine. But I honestly think Emilia was right. There's so many red flags, and it was a troublesome read because I'm honestly worried about OP. What do you guys think? Do you think Amelia should mind her own beeswax? Or do you think OP was right? Let me know in the comment section down below. My personal opinion is Amelia's a good friend and I think she's onto something. I hope you guys enjoyed the stories today. I enjoyed reading them. And as always, Mr. Reddito will be here for some more stories tomorrow. Have a wonderful night.